Yo, what is up? Ray Popo here, bringing guys a new video, and today I'm going to be fixing a Pokemon team. Let's go. Welcome everybody, and this is going to be my new series, VGC Doctor. It's when we take a team and we fix it up, and we make it a lot better than it previously was. This is a series that Mango or Nick gave me the idea for yesterday when we were talking. I said that there was a lot of teams over on Facebook that were just kind of all messed up and needed a lot of fixing. And he's like, why don't you just make a YouTube series about it, fixing those teams up and whatnot. So here I am. I'm going to do that. I could put some of my team building. I've always been a pretty good team builder. So putting some of those abilities to play here and helping out people is really cool. I just want to say, do not give hate to anybody that you do see in these videos. I have blanked out the name, as you could see there, but don't go try to find this person and leave hateful things. This is a series about education, and we're not here to tear anybody down. We want to improve everybody and make everybody better at the game, because when people are better at the game, we get better at the game. So that's what we're going to be doing here, and we're going to learn a lot. I'm going to go over each thing I'm changing, why I'm changing it, and why it's important, and the differentials between those two things. So let's get right into it here. So the post I saw, and I picked this team because I like Bellibolt, and I thought it'd be an interesting team to start the series with. And the post says, I need some input, and I promise it works way better than you may think it does. The problem I have is I don't think it's going to work that well. So there's a lot of changes that I do want to make, but we're going to go over the team initially, how it is set right now. We have the Bellibolt, Electric Terra, Assault Vest, Electromorphosis, Parabolic Charge, Chilling Water, Thunder, and Acid Spray. This is going to be 252 HP, 228 defense, 24 special attack, and 4 special defense with Quiet. So there's going to be a theme. You're going to see a theme to all of these Pokemon. Pretty quickly here, we have Lantern, Flying, Citrus Berry, Volt Absorb, Soak, Scald, Volt Switch, Thunder Wave, 100 defense, 236 or 100 HP, 236 defense, and 172 special defense with Bold. Next, we have Sinistcha with Ground Terra, and that's going to be Rocky Helmet, Hospitality, Machigacha, Trick Room, Life Dew Protect, 252 HP, 100 defense, 156 special defense with Bolt. You can already see what the theme of this team has been. We have Ghost Terra, Mental Herb, Telepathy, Gravity, Trick Room, Instruct, and Encore. And we have 252 HP, 188 defense, 44 special defense, and 24 speed, but with a relaxed nature, lowering that speed. I'm assuming this is 0, just like I did for Bellibolt. I'm just assuming this is 0. There was no indication that it was or wasn't, so I'm going to assume that, but this is just very weird, and you can see the theme, right? Plus defense. There's a lot of plus defense natures here. We have Grass Terra, Leftovers, Intimidate, Will-O-Wisp, Raging Bull, Body Press, and Protect. This is going to be 252 HP, 252 defense, and 4 special defense. And last but not least is going to be this Ninetales, Steel Terra, Light Clay, Snow Warning, Moonblast, Freeze Dry, Protect, Aurora Veil, 252 HP, 44 special attack, and 109. So my initial thoughts of this team is that it is Bellibolt centric, right? We're going to try to use Bellibolt with Lantern, and you're going to try to soak things and Parabolic Charge and do damage while healing yourself up and while healing up the Lantern. And then you have the Sinistcha, which can come in and heal you with Life Dew. It's got Rocky Helmet. Got a Oranguru that literally doesn't do anything. It can instruct, but it also has telepathy, so you can use that Parabolic Charge without hitting yourself. We have Tauros, who's just, there for being an Intimidator and Will-O-Wisping and then clicking Body Press. And then we have Ninetales, who's just trying to set up Aurora Veil, right? So that's the initial thoughts I have for each of these Pokemon. My problem with the team is that Rain is very, very popular right now, which means this Ninetales is very useless. And it really doesn't fit the team, as the Snow Warning is not giving any bonuses to any other Pokemon. So you're kind of losing out on what you would use the Ninetales for in both aspects, as when it comes in, Rain is always going to get up, whether they lead with Pelipper or they don't. you just lose the war on that, and then you have to switch, and then they get a free attack into your Pokemon. Oranguru also isn't doing anything. Gravity is pretty useless on this team, as you only have like one attack that can miss, which is Matcha Gotcha. So like in Thunder, I guess, but like you're not really doing anything with it. This Tauros is just very weak, and it's kind of a wasted slot, as it's just not putting pressure on anything and just loses to so many Pokemon. Sinistcha is okay, but like it's a Life Dew set instead of a Rage Powder, which would be significantly better. Lantern, like I said, is terrible. Like, you're going to soak, but under Trick Room, it's just so much faster than Bellibolt that you're never going to be able to get the soak off before you get the Parabolic Charge off. And outside of Trick Room, it just has a lot of pressure being put on both of those Pokemon by the same exact Pokemon. So you're losing a lot of that effectiveness of either of the two Pokemon, because you can only Terrasilize one, and one of them's not even a defensive Terrasilization. And if you do soak things, your only way to hit them is Volt Switch, which is a huge disadvantage. And once again, we have the Bellibolt with Thunder. Thunder's not very good on this set because once you only have Gravity, so you have to set yourself up for going for Gravity when you could have just went for 2 Thunderbolts, which would be significantly stronger. Acid Spray's pretty useless, as like, yeah, you have a lot of special attackers, but like it does no damage, right? It's 40 base power. It's just not doing anything. And Chilling Water is in the same boat with 50 base power, just not doing anything. And we're going to go over this a little bit. Let's go for some damage calcs going into the team, right? So I got that over here, and we can see Bellibolt up against Archludon. Now, Archludon is the most common Pokemon that's used right now, and this just shows how weak it is into that Pokemon. Parabolic Charge does nothing. Chilling Water does nothing. Thunder does basically nothing. If we get Electromorphosis off and a Terrasilization, like Thunder can do some damage. But like a couple Electro Shots are doing the same amount, and they can hit 100% of the time. We're going to say that Rain's up, so that doesn't really change anything but the water. It's just always losing this battle. It just can't do anything. It doesn't have the damage output. If we go back and look, our full damage investment on this team is going to be 24 special attack and 44 special attack for a total of 68 EVs into attack, which isn't that good, with the only positive nature on attack being into this Bellibolt. 138 base stat and 107 base stat are our two highest attack stats, besides Tauros, which is going to go off this defensive 172, which is not bad, and 141 for the Sinistcha. That's just its base anyways. But so you're not putting a lot of offensive pressure on anything, and we can see that going into the Lantern here too. Where like Draco Meteor and stuff's going to be pretty good. If it tries to go for this Flying Terror, like Flash Cannon does significant damage back to it. And it can never do more than this, as a lot of these are running Grass Terra now, more than the Fairy Terra. So even if you Terrasilize, this changes none of the results here. It changes none of the results here besides Acid Spray. So like you're not getting anything off of those. We got the Matcha Gotcha too. That's not really doing anything. And a couple Electro Shots kind of put this thing in range to be knocked out. Even if you go for the Terrasilization and get rid of that, like you're just not doing anything, and then at a certain point Body Press will just be pretty significant. And if they Terrasilize, you're still only doing up to 10% damage, so you're not doing anything. This absolutely does nothing. Like you can't do anything. Like you can Encore it into like Electro Shot, and that's it. So Oranguru, not doing anything. We see Electro Shot doing 90% to Tauros. Even if you go into the Grass Terror, like it's not even a confirmed 2-shot. It's a good chance at a 2-shot, but it's not confirmed 2-shot. And like it is faster. It's the only Pokemon that is faster. But if Trick Room's up, then you just kind of lose to Archludon. Plus, this Pokemon does get pressured by Pelipper, so it also has that going against it too. And then we have Ninetales that just does absolutely nothing to it and just gets KO'd by Flash Cannon. If they go for the Terrasilization, you're wasting your Terrasilization and you're getting hit with this. And most likely Rain is going to be up and not Snow. So like I wouldn't even take that into consideration. Next is Goldango. Goldango, once again, just doesn't really take anything from this. Thunder does do pretty good damage, but you have to hit it once again. Whereas Shadow Ball is doing very, very good damage. And of course, this is the modest choice spec sets that we've seen going around. Lantern, same thing. Like this is a guaranteed 2-shot, but it doesn't really pressure, and you can't even use soak on this Pokemon, so it takes away from that. This is just gone, so don't even look at that. Oranguru, of course, can't be hit by the Shadow Ball, but it also cannot do anything, including Encore or anything to Goldango, so it doesn't do anything. Next we have the Tauros. Like the Tauros does pretty good into this, but with the Terrestrialization, like Make It Rain is a 2-shot even at the -1, and it's faster, so you can just never beat it. You have to get 2 attacks into it, which is not the easiest thing for the Tauros to do, or this team in general, because it is so slow. And then yeah, this thing doesn't even consider, even if it's Terrestrialized, it just does nothing. So once again, Ninetales just not doing anything. Next we have Annihilate, and I'm always going to give Annihilate 4 because there's no way to stop the beat up plays on this team. So as you can see into Bellibolt, it like does 90% damage, and Bellibolt doesn't really hit it back. It will get the Electromorphosis off, so I guess you could do 50. You can one-shot with Thunder, but we're probably going to have Friend Guard up most of the time over here, so it's not going to quite do that much, right? So you got to take that into consideration too. This does nothing, and it gets basically 1-shot. This thing is gone. You cannot hit Oranguru with this, but once again, Oranguru does nothing, right? It does absolutely nothing. This gives a +1 and then just dies to Rage Fist, and it's usually slower. This one, I didn't set the speed. It would probably have a little bit less HP here, a little bit more speed. So it's potential that it can outspeed this Tauros, especially a lot of the sets now, they're running like 232 speed, or they're running 208 or something like that. So yeah, this isn't representation. I just put this because I wanted 172 attacks. I feel like that's around the attack that they're going for at the moment. And then this does absolutely nothing, especially if they go for the Water Terra, which these are mostly all Water Terra now. So if you Terrestrialize here, it just doesn't really do anything, and it dies to Rage Fist. So that just kind of shows right there. Those Pokemon are dominating, but we still have more. We got Blood Moon here. Parabolic Charge, of course, can't hit it, so your best thing is Chilling Water. 2 Earth Powers, or like a Hyper Voice plus Earth Power is going to knock out. But if you just Terrestrialize, you can go for like, you know, same thing. I guess it does still the same, but that's because it's a Sol Vest. That's the only reason why it's surviving. On an 83, I guess, is just enough, but this thing doesn't. It doesn't matter what it does, even if it goes in that Flying Terror, it is gone. To 2 Hyper Voices. This thing always dies to this. Oranguru also dies to this, which is not great. This always dies to Earth Power. You Terrestrialize, Blood Moon is just going to be enough, and it just can't pressure back. And then this thing also just dies to Blood Moon, so it doesn't really do too much. With a Fake Out user next to this, it's kind of just over. And then we will see regular Ursaluna, and regular Ursaluna does pick up the knockout onto this boy, even though it has so much investment in defense. That just shows it's not really worth the defense investment, and it can't Terrestrialize out of it. So Earthquake has a 37% chance to OHKO, so if you just have 2 spread moves, it's always going to be over for this Pokemon. Same with this. Earthquake is going to knock out, so you have to Flying Terrestrialize, which then it just dies to Facade. And it still can't, like, Scald does okay damage, but with the Terrestrialization, it just does nothing. So it's not even a concern. This thing does pretty good damage, but, you know, with the Terrestrialization, it doesn't do as much. You can't burn, and there's no redirection, so they can just ignore it and beat it at the end game with something else. Oranguru pretty much dies the Facade. This thing dies the Headlong Rush even at -1, and this thing also dies to Facade. So putting a lot of pressure there. And last but not least is going to be Torkoal. And now the reason why Torkoal's here is because Torkoal is very good against this team because it's slower than all their Pokemon. Meaning if Trick Room does get up, it's kind of really hard to deal with this team. So Fire Terrestrialization is going to do about 80% into the Bellibolt, which is very, very strong. And Bellibolt doesn't really pressure back if it activates this. Thunder does. This does 50. Like, you'll be healing pretty decent amounts, but I think Eruption's still a 2-shot even after the heals. This thing takes it okay, but if you just have, like, anything, like, if you could just instruct your own Eruption, it's kind of over. This thing is just dead. Even if you ground tear, it doesn't really do too much. Eruption plus anything else knocks out Oranguru, and Oranguru has nothing it could do. Tauros is okay, but as you can see, it still does 80%, and this thing is just gone. Even with Aurora Veil, it's basically just gone. So, yeah, and it can't terrestrialize out of it. So, as you can see, all these Pokemon are putting a lot of pressure on. So what we have to do is, the most important thing is to counter the most important Pokemon in the meta. So we're going to be looking to counter the Archludon, we're going to be looking to counter Goldango, and we're going to be looking to counter Annihilate. And by extension, we're going to counter Blood Moon Ursaluna. That's our goal. That's our goal right now. So I've rebuilt the team, and I've changed it quite a bit, and I've made it what I deem is a lot better. And here's that updated team, and we get them over here too. And I wanted to stick with the Bellibolt because I felt like the Bellibolt was the main Pokemon in the team itself. So we want to make sure that we're bringing that forward and able to use it, continue to use it successfully. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to keep that Electric Terror, but we're going to give this thing Weakness Policy now. And of course, Weakness Policy gives it a +2 special attack, which is going to be pretty big for us. Electromorphosis is going to continue to be the move of, or the ability of choice. It doesn't really have anything else. Like, you don't need any of those. Protect, and this is going to give us a huge attack boost. Protect, we're changing Parabolic Charge to Discharge, and the reason for that is it's just so much stronger. And also, why Chilling Water when we have a Muddy Water? This puts a lot more pressure. Yeah, it's inaccurate, but you can also lower the accuracy of your opponent's Pokemon. And this is just an in-case kind of move. And it stops a lot of the stuff that Discharge can't hit. So it's really good in that. And then we have Thunderbolt, which is going to just be more damage. We have 252 HP, 252 special attack, and 4 special defense. You can also go with this one where it's 12 special defense. Do as you wish. Do as you wish. I don't think it changes too much. So, yeah. But this is our new main attacker. But it's not our only attacker now, which is really important. And it's going to be a 170 instead of a 138. So it's going to be a lot stronger. Next, we have Sinistcha. And this Sinistcha is going to be a 252 with a relaxed nature. So you're going to get that minus speed. We also have 4 that I forgot to put in. So let me put the 4 in. And this is just going to be a more balanced defensive Sinistcha with the Rocky Helmet still, but we're going to go to Water Terra. This is going to give us more room against those rain teams, as well as any fire Pokemon that might come out that we have to deal with. Gets rid of all of our weaknesses, and it makes it so we're not hit super effective by the hurricanes from Pelipper too. So yeah, so we got Machigacha, Trick Room, Rage Powder, and Protect. Now, Rage Powder is going to be one of the most important moves we have. It allows us to, it helps us get Trick Room set up, but it also puts us so we can just keep clicking our attacks if we need to. Bellibolt, he's resisted, so Discharge won't do as much to Sinistcha. It's definitely not a one-shot. It's possible that your Rage Powder, with the Rage Powder, you'll be able to do Discharge, Rage Powder, and then Sinistcha will go down. But at that same time, you're getting a Discharge off for free and just losing a support Pokemon, whereas you're not going to lose your Bellibolt instead. Next, we have our Oranguru. This is going to be Ghost, Mental Herb, Telepathy, Psyshock, Trick Room, Instruct, and Bulldoze. And now you're seeing the weakness policy over here, and the way that we're going to use that is Bulldoze. And you could see here we went for a very specific speed. This is going to be 0 speed on the Oranguru, but we're going to have 18 IVs. I think 19 IVs also works on this Bellibolt. We want to be under the 60 just in case there's anything that is at that 60. So we're going to want to be 59 for sure. And this is going to allow us to set up Trick Room on turn 1 and then go Bulldoze and Discharge. We're keeping the Telepathy. And the Telepathy is going to allow us not to take damage from that Discharge, right? So it's very, very important, especially if we're going to terrestrialize this instead of this. Though this can be faked out in best of 1 on ladder. People won't know if you have Telepathy or if you have Inner Focus. So it should be fine. And Instruct's going to allow you to go like Bulldoze because he's going to be slower next turn than Oranguru. We also want to be 0 here, which I forgot to change. And this is just going to make it so that way we don't really do any damage to our own Bellibolt. And Bellibolt will be able to just go Discharge next turn. You can go Instruct and just get another Discharge off. And he'll be slower after that, which is very important because let's say they bring out Ursaluna and now you need Muddy Water. So now you can go Muddy Water Instruct, and Oranguru will be able to instruct Muddy Water rather than Discharge. So you get a lot more range with that. So it's really, really cool interaction there. And you can use Bulldoze near the end of the game to just lower your opponent, like in your last few turns of Trick Room, to try to lower your opponent's speed. So that way your other Pokemon can outspeed them outside of Trick Room. And next we have Blood Moon Ursaluna. It's going to be Normal, Terra, Life Orb, Mind's Eye, Earth Power, Hyper Voice, Moonblast, Protect. This is a set I really like to run, which is 164 HP, 252 a special attack, 92 special defense with Quiet. It allows it to live a lot more. Oh, I forgot to talk about Oranguru's EVs too. This is a set I've been running since Sun and Moon, or Sword and Shield, I think. Sword and Shield, I started running Oranguru. And it's just very, very good, and it's very, very strong, and just has a really hard time of getting knocked out first turn. But this set, same thing. This is going to live a lot more attacks than some of the other sets that you might see, especially if you have Life Orb. It'll allow you to at least get one attack off potentially, so I really, really like this set. Next is King Gambit. So King Gambit is going to be our counter to the Psy Spam teams. We need something that can kind of deal with those, and you can kind of go Oranguru plus King Gambit to do that. And what this is 124, 252, 12 defense, 116 special defense, and 4 speed. So it's going to still be pretty slow. It's going to be defined, of course, with the Salt Vest. Terra Blast with Ground Terra. So we're going to make this thing Ground Terra so we can discharge next to it. Kowtow, Cleave, Sucker Punch, and Iron Head. That also puts a lot of pressure on Incineroars, which is really, really cool, and something that people won't be expecting, especially in a closed team sheet environment. So you'll be able to go with the Oranguru Bellibolt. Let's say Oranguru goes down, you bring out King Gambit, you go for Terra Ground, and now you can, still discharge and also go for Terra Blast if you need to. They bring in Incineroar, then you're getting a +1, plus you now have pressure with Terra Blast. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. Really, really good Pokemon. Now, like I said, rain is super, super popular, so why not just have a Pokemon that can potentially take advantage of the rain? And the last Pokemon is going to be Primarina. This is going to be Grass Terra, Leftovers, Liquid Voice, of course. 252 HP, 124 defense, so it's going to be a little bit more bulky with a 132 special attack. Special defense is already pretty big. We don't want any speed investment, just let this thing rest. And yeah, we're going to go Hyper Voice, Moonblast, Haze, and Protect. So this is going to be what we're going to use against Dondozo. And the reason why you have Grass Terra is so that way if Dondozo does go Grass and it tries to go for, Terra Blast, we'll be able to kind of counter that. And that we'll be able to Haze and get rid of that. If Trick Room's up, you don't even have to Terra. You could just go for Haze, take the Terra Blast. It's perfectly fine. You could also run, what's it called on this? Perish if you wanted to. If you want to run Perish Song instead of Haze, you could do that, but I think Haze is a lot better, and with Sinistcha, Primarina, and you Haze, they can't really do anything, especially if you go Machigachi and end up getting the burn. They just kind of lose the game, and then you can Oranguru also and just set up Trick Room again and go with something else. So Primarina is going to be our main Haze user. It's going to be pretty bulky and still be able to output some pretty good damage with a 179 special attack, which is the highest on the team besides Ursaluna, which is 205. And we have 205 here too. So these are going to be equivalent. So now that we went over the new team, let's go over some of those same damage calcs that we were looking at earlier. So we're going to start with the Archludon here. It's going to be the same Archludon, but now we have that new set here with the weakness policy. And you could see Discharge is doing 12%, which is more than the Parabolic Charge was doing by a significant amount. But let's say that we do set up the Trick Room and we do get the Bulldoze off, right? Our Discharge is now doing that much. But on top of that, we can just go Thunderbolt into it, and it has a really, really good chance of knocking out. Just straight up. We go Bulldoze, and then we go Thunderbolt into Thunderbolt with Instruct, and it's just kind of over. Whereas it has to go Draco Meteor, and then it's going to be -2. So these damage calcs are going to be the same, and then it has a good chance to knock out as well. Is it actually 100%? It's not 100%. So it has a good chance to knock out, but we have a better chance to knock out. And that is just enough, and then we can just start going Discharges after that if we need to. So this is a lot stronger, especially against that set. Goldango, as we could see here, we're still taking the same amounts from these because we did not increase our special defense at all. We just made our defense into our special attack, as we could see here. And, you know, that's all we changed for the Bellibolt was that. And yeah, so you could see we're doing significantly more damage. Like, this is doing as much as like Thunder was doing here, right? Like 57. This is doing exactly the same amount that Thunder was doing, except we don't have a chance to miss. But not only that, is if we get our +2, oh, this is the wrong one. If we get our +2 here, now you could see. And if we use the bulldoze that turn, now you could see. Discharge actually knocks him out. So we could just go for, you know, Oranguru, we can go Trick Room, bulldoze, discharge, we get knockouts on Goldango. That's something we weren't even getting close to doing on this. Like, we'd have to do that and terrestrialize, and then it's a kill. We're not even terrestrialized. We terrestrialize, like, look at that. I didn't mean to do that, but look at that. That's crazy. And gets the Archludon. The Thunderbolt is a guaranteed 2-hit if we terrestrialize. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Against Annihilate, same thing. Terrestrialize with that +2. Discharge just knocks out. We weren't even getting close here, right? Like, this is the same. This is the exact same. And we have to hit Thunder again, right? We have to hit Thunder against this Pokemon, or else we lose. Here, it doesn't matter. We just automatically win. We want to move this to 4. We are taking a lot more from this, but once again, first turn protect. We don't really care what happens. He's going to have Friend Guard, right? So let's put Friend Guard on there. Friend Guard, boom. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. It's still like a 75% chance to one hit. So, like, it doesn't even matter. And you instructed, of course. And even if they follow me, like, you're still getting the instructed version off. So it doesn't even matter. It's just over. It's just over. He could terrestrialize into his fire type or whatever he wants to do. It don't change anything. Next, we have Ursaluna. So we can't do the same thing to Ursaluna unless it terrestrializes, then it's over. But you can see Muddy Water is still doing a significant amount of damage, which is pretty good. We can also do this outside of Trick Room if we think there's 0 speed, and that way our Ursaluna could be faster. But Ursaluna is still going to be kind of a tough matchup. But now we do have a little bit of pressure on it. Even if we are at 0, we still do put some pressure on it where we're doing 40%. Though this is a matchup that you're hoping to never get yourself into, and you probably rather have Primarina during this altercation. Similar to this too, if they do terrestrialize, you are putting all the pressure in the whole entire world on them. But if they don't terrestrialize, which we don't really have a reason to force them to terrestrialize, our best play is always just going to be go for the Muddy Water and, you know, just do some pretty good damage. But once again, we don't want this altercation to be the one that's out there. We want to have different things going on. But that's a big reason why we do have the Sinistra now, right? Because we'll be able to take away the facades of the headlong rushes if we need to, and they won't be able to hit us with that. And that goes for any of our Pokemon, and we do put some pressure on, so that's what we want to keep doing. And going into Torkoal now. As you can see, Torkoal terrestrialize still does significant damage, but if we just don't do anything and we just terrestrialize and we just hit Torkoal like with discharge, let's say we do 37%, right? So if we do 37%, he's at 63. He now does 50, right? That's not bad. That's not bad for us. We still have a lot of pressure on. If we hit with a Thunderbolt and do 60%, oops, he's not dead. So if we do 60%, so he'll be at 40. Now he's doing 40% with the eruption with terrestrialization, and you know he gets essentially knocked out because we'll have this on the next turn and be able to get that discharge off. So yeah, and if we just go with Oranguru and we just go for Instruct on the first turn because we are slower, so we can go for, you know, discharge Instruct and we just terrestrialize, then we're doing up to 80%. And if they don't have like a follow me user, we can just knock out Torkoal or potentially knock out the Pokemon that wants to set Trick Room. So we got a lot of range going for that. Where you usually probably just go for the Discharge, Bulldoze Discharge. If they protect Torkoal, like it's fine. Like we'll be at -1, 39 speed. So we're still not under speeding, but we could definitely play around it at that point still, which we wouldn't be able to do before. So that's important. Yeah, so that's showing how much better that is. Next, we have the Sinistra, which is just going to be a series of it taking less damage. It's not going to do any more damage. Shadow Ball is still going to one-shot. This is still going to one-shot. But the most important thing is, like, we can redirect Earth Powers, and now Blood Moon is not a 100% chance to knock out unless they do Terrasilize. But once again, we can now take this away from them. We could take Headlong Rushes away from them. Earthquake isn't doing too much. Like, I've seen Ice Punch like twice, and Facade is now doing absolutely nothing. So those are going to be really good for us. And then going into Torkoal still is going to just be very, very good against us. But once again, you're not going to really try to get that matchup into each other. Next, Oranguru. Now, Oranguru can do some damage because it does have the Psyshock and the Bulldoze. So, we're doing 8% damage. That potentially puts it in range to be, one shot by something else, or at least 2 shots, if not anything. And lower its speed just in case that becomes relevant too. So, but nothing really here. Same with here. Like, we could do 10%, which is not bad. Same with Psyshock, doing 10%. Here, Psyshock is very, very good because they're usually very special defensive. So, usually this will be lower, and the speed and special defense will be a little bit higher, meaning that we just put out a lot of damage into Annihilapes in general, which is pretty good. It's why Psyshock, I think, is better than Psychic on this team, because we have a lot of good special attackers already. So let's have a good physical attacker. It's not as good into Blood Moon Ursaluna, though it still does about 12%. Regular Ursaluna does about 15, and against Torkoal, it does about 14. And yeah, Torkoal never one-shots us. So we can always get a Psyshock into here, and then he's not doing as much, obviously. And that's really good. Next, we have our boy King Gambit. And King Gambit's not going to do a lot into the Archludon, though if we do Terrasilize into the ground, we are getting those Terra Blast off for about 50% damage, which is huge. Because then it means that, Discharge or Thunderbolt is just enough to knock it out if we Terrasilize into that. So that's very, very good. Plus, he doesn't really pressure us even when we Terrasilize. But if we don't Terrasilize, like, his best thing is Electroshot. So they're most likely going to go with that, or Body Press. But Terrasilizing makes Body Press do basically nothing, and Electroshot actually do nothing. Into Goldango, as we could see, Goldango doesn't really do too much. Whereas we're going to put a lot of pressure onto Goldango, and if after that we can go for Sucker Punches if we need to. But if we do Terrasilize, we can go for this as well, because when they Terrasilize, this is going to be the best attack that we can go for, especially under Trick Room. Make It Rain will do some pretty good damage to us if we do Terrasilize, but I mean, it is what it is. Can't win them all. Against Annihilate, it's not great until we Terrasilize, which then it becomes pretty okay, except for the Rage Fist, but they always go Drain Punch into us, meaning we can get the Rage Fist. If they are Fire Terror for some reason, we still do a significant amount of damage, but even doing 35% damage here just means that like Bellibolt will be able to knock them out, so it gives us a lot there. So into these two, I came to the question of, do we run Iron Head? And I think it's potentially okay to drop Iron Head for low kick if you really want to go for that. And you can see low kick does more damage. We have Friend Guard up. That's okay. So it's doing a lot less than it was supposed to. My bad. Because that was like Kowtow Cleave supposed to knock out. It is because of Friend Guard. I forgot to take it off. So yeah, you can see Kowtow Cleave does knock out this, but if he Terrasilizes, then Terra Blast also knocks him out. So oftentimes it's just safer to Terrasilize if you're going to anyways, and just go for the Terra Blast. Into this, you can see we do almost 50% damage, which then, yeah, this knocks out. And yeah, he does knock us out with Drain Punch, but that's okay. Here we can do significant damage with low kick, potentially being a 2-shot with Kowtow Cleave, or even Sucker Punch if we get a high roll on both. But it does put a lot of pressure, and the most he can do is with Earth Power, which isn't even a knockout. And if we do Terastallize, then it's going to be Blood Moon, which once again also is not a knockout. So it's perfectly fine to go with that, but you can always go low kick. Same within here. Like Facade is a one shot if we don't Terastallize, but he also has Headlong Rush, and Earthquake is potentially, if we do have Sinistral, we can take away that Headlong Rush, which is pretty good, and just get some damage on with low kick, and then we can pressure with the Sucker Punch if we need to, like Sucker Punch Machagacha or something like that. But yeah, or you could just keep this as is, and then we have Torkoal. And Torkoal does one shot with full eruption, though we do have Sucker Punch, so you gotta keep that in mind. So if he loses 30%, here, or no, he loses 30%. Sorry, 70. You could see if he Terastallizes, there's still a chance to knock us out. But if we also Terastallize, then it's 50%. It's around 50%. So then we can, go for Terra Blast as well, which, does 80%, which is enough to knock out no matter what. Unless we low roll, I guess. Not 80%, 70%, sorry, which is enough to knock out. So we're putting a lot of pressure there. And then we have our last Pokemon, which is going to be this Primarina. And the Primarina just goes for it, is doing 40% into Archludon. If we Terastallize into Grass, it doesn't really have any pressure on, and we can do 40 and then plus hit it with something else, which is pretty good. We have Goldango. Goldango does okay damage with Thunderbolt, but with Hyper Voice, we actually do around 40, which is really, really cool. If we Terastallize, his best thing is Make It Rain, which they'll probably go with anyways, even because it's still 70%. So keep that in mind. We go here. We can't really take away from what this can do. That's why we have, Rage Powder just in case, because we can go with that, and then we can Moonblast and do significant damage, or we can set up Trick Room and do some stuff that way. So there's still a lot of range going for this, and if you Moonblast or Hyper Voice and then you Instruct, you're gonna do a ton of damage too. So and then this is mostly for these because we can put a lot of damage onto Ursaluna. As you can see, we do about 80%, and even Moonblast does significant damage. We do get knocked out by a Moonblast, though, so do keep that in mind. But if they are a faster team, then you could just set up Trick Room and, once again, Instruct and do some stuff there. Against regular Ursaluna, though, it's a little bit harder. He does take some pretty good damage, but if they Terastallize, it's not really... It's not really it, right? So you do have to be careful into this matchup. We don't get knocked out by Headlong Rush, but they always go Facade anyway. And against Torkoal, so this is where it really shines, right? Against the Torkoal matchup, they can go for the Terastallization. It's only doing 50% at most. If they're the Charcoal set, and our Hyper Voice, even in the sun, is also doing that much, which means, if they're at 60%, which they're going to be less than that. Let's say they're going to be at 55, let's say. 55% next turn, they're only doing 30 at max. So that just puts them basically dead if we have any other attacker. So, yeah, that's kind of the team. That's kind of how I saw that it should go. And that's just against some of the stuff in the meta. There's a lot of other stuff in the meta that this team also beats, like just Pelipper in general. Like, Pelipper just doesn't have anything. For Bellibolts, I mean, it can go for Weather Ball, I guess, which would do some pretty good damage, but oops, Pelipper. It's probably this one, Stellar Terra, Weather Ball. Yeah, Weather Ball. Weather Ball is doing 61%, but you get this, you get this, you get this, and yeah, you're doing 15,000%. 15,000, 1,000%, not 15,000, 1,500%, 1,000%. It's fine. It's fine. Even with Focus Sash, because then we have Instruct, so it doesn't matter. It just dies. So you don't worry about Pelipper. You just worry about the things Pelipper enables, and that's those things that we want to really be taken care of. Pokemon is Basilegion for that. They're usually Banded, Swift Swim. Like Aqua Jet does okay damage, but not enough to like knock you out, and then Discharge just takes the KO. Even if they give the Wave Crash off, like it's fine. I guess in the rain, let me put the rain up because the rain wasn't up. Wave Crash does knock out, but if you're next to Sinistcha, then it's fine. But Aqua Jet never knocks out, so you're just like, you're perfectly fine. You get the Electromorphosis. Even if you don't get that off, you're just doing massive amounts of damage with Discharge. They Terra, it's still not even doing close to enough. So as soon as you set up Trick Room, like it's over. Let's say they have 3, right? 3 will knock out, but I mean, what's the chance of that anyway? Yeah, so they have to go Aqua Jet if you have Trick Room up, and they just can't because you just Discharge. Even if they Terrasilize, they're usually water Terrasilization, so it doesn't matter if it's a Stellar or not. What's anything else that's pretty decent? Like Talonflame is just knocked out by this. Like Garchomp, I guess is a good Pokemon that could hurt this team pretty well, but as you can see, like +2 Muddy Water does significant amount of damage, and then with an Instruct, it does pretty good. Oh, that's because the rain's up, so it's not that great. But then you got Blood Moon or Saluna. That's without Terrasilization. You know, you just Terrasilize, and then you just double Hyper Voice, and it's just over. So like Garchomp's not that big of a deal for the rest of your team. It's fine. What else? I'm trying to think. Hydreigon. Like Hydreigon with Life Orb. Let's say Specs even. Let's do the highest with Specs. Against this, like Draco Meteor will knock out, but like Draco Meteor never knocks this out, right? Dark Pulse does. I guess maybe we'd want to change to Terra for those cases. Like I usually go Fairy Terra. The reason why I kept Ghost is because we have Telepathy, so we can be faked out. But if we go Fairy Terra, then we can never be even close to knocked out. And then, yeah, this does pretty good damage. Let's see, +2. Yeah, we knock out with, we have a chance of knocking out with Thunderbolt against the Hydreigon. So that's kind of crazy, especially if it's Terrasilized, which sometimes they do. We definitely knock it out. This is usually Steel Terra though, but I doubt that they would Terrasilize there, but you never know. There's just so many Pokemon that like this is just really, really good against, and yeah, like the dragons are the best thing against it, right? Like this is pretty common. It doesn't even really matter, right? Like double Discharge, just I guess you Discharge for that and then that, so maybe it doesn't, but Thunderbolt does like 100% of the time, and their Ice Shard's only doing that. So like it's just really, really strong. Bellibolt's actually pretty good. So, but anyways, guys, that's it from this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you guys thumbs it up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.